All right, I thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to call this meeting to order and acknowledge that we're in Treaty 1 territory on the home and traditional lands of the Ojibwe, the Cree, the Dakota people, and then the Hassonal homelands of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is John Merritt. I'll be your chairperson this morning. Introducing the panel members present is Gisela Rempel, and via Zoom is Mr. Robert Hutchins. Our recording secretary is Nicole Carnegie, and representing the city of Winnipeg from the assessment department is Drew Thiessen. To the applicants at the hearing, please note that you will be placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. Then it'll be your turn to be admitted to the meeting. Kindly follow along the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you to the hearing, you may close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak in regard to your property. Once the hearing is over or concluded, you may leave the meeting. This morning we'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment rule in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act, matters of which revision is requested and is described in each application, and will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made in this hearing are sworn as testimony, and anybody speaking in these matters must be sworn in. Please be advised that assessments, comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The board is appointed annually by City Council and is independent of it, along with the city administration. We make our decisions based on the evidence provided at this hearing and issue a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decision in respect to application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to application from exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included in the board's order. In respect to the hearing this morning, I will confirm the points of appeal with your properties to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We'll then have the assessor's testimony followed by the questions that the applicant may have. Then it'll be the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each party will have the opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all evidence about the application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket this morning. The session will close after all applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live recorded and will be part of the public record. This morning, we'll be hearing items 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 9. I'll ask Ms. Carnegie to swear in the assessor, and we will proceed. Ms. Carnegie, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Drew Thiessen.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Thiessen, there are several properties on here. I think that there is some people that haven't shown up here. So I think what we'll do is I'll just confirm that with our secretary for 859 Fleet Avenue. There's nobody here for making the appointment appearance. Ms. Carnegie, is that correct?
No, there's no one here, nor has there been any evidence provided for the hearing.
Okay, and that is applicable to Arlington Street, 549 Arlington?
It is?
And 559 Victoria Street.
Yeah, 559 Victor Street.
I'm sorry.
And then we have Mr. Max Griffin Rill here in person for item number 5, 270 Aubrey Street.
Okay. So I just want to do a little more cleanup here. So 29 Aubrey Street, there's no appearance there?
No, nobody is here for 29 Aubrey, and we also did not receive any evidence.
Okay, and for 70 Middlegate Street?
Nobody is present and no evidence received as well.
All right. So we will move those items that we talked about for the non-appearance to the end of the, and we will deal with them at the very end. So the first item that we're going to deal, all right. So the first item that we're going to deal with is the 270 Aubrey Street. So
I'll invite Mr. Griffin Rill to have a seat here and get himself set up, and then whenever you're ready, we can
get him sworn in.
We can get him sworn in.
Yes.
They bring paper versions of the. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, thank you. This is a copy of your evidence?
Yes.
Yes, so I've got it electronically, thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, members of the board.
Good morning.
All right, we'll have you sworn in, and then we will proceed. So we'll, Ms. Carnegie, whenever you're ready, you can swear in the applicant.
Okay, wonderful. Mr. Applicant, please state your full name.
My name is Maximilian Patrick Griffin Rill.
Do you affirm that the evidence you're about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Griffin Grill, I proceeded about, how we're going to proceed. So we'll first hear from the assessor, and he'll take us through the property and describe your property and how they came up with the value for the assessment period. Is that fine with you?
That is fine with me. Just one clarification. My last name is Griffin Rill, R-I-L-L.
I'm sorry. Thank you very kindly. Mr. Thiessen, whenever you're ready, you can take us through this property, please.
Okay, thank you. The subject property is located at 270 Aubrey Street. It's a 2.5-story build in the Wolseley neighborhood. Single family dwelling built in 1912, living area of 1777 square feet. Has a full basement that is not finished. Has 2 full bathrooms, no central air, no fireplaces. Has a detached single car garage. And the lot size is 3,009 square feet. The subject did sell post-reference in both May of 2022 and March of 2023. So I do not have the values on those. They are post-reference sales. The comparables are all located in the Wolseley neighborhood. Building of 2.5 stories, single-family dwellings, built between 1909 to 1912, living areas of 1638 square feet to 2274 square feet. They all have full basements. 2 of them, comp 1 and 3, have the full part area, which just basically means that there was some kind of addition probably where there is a crawl space underneath it rather than a full basement. 2 of the properties do have finished basements, comps 2 and 4, whereas comps 3 and 1 do not have finished basements. The bathroom counts are fairly similar to the subject for all properties, with comp 3 having an extra half bathroom, comp 4 having 2 extra half bathrooms and a extra shower. All of the comps do have central air conditioning, and comps 1 and 3 both have fireplaces, just 1 fireplace. There are detached single car garages located at comp 1 and 2. Comps 3 and 4 do not have any garages at all. The lot sizes range between 2305 square feet to 4967 square feet. And there are land influences on comp 1 and 2. Comp 1 has light traffic, comp 2 has light traffic and a bus route. You can ignore the back lane influence that is on comp 3. All properties in this area of Wolseley do have back lanes. I should have deleted it. I just missed it before I submitted my evidence. The time adjusted sale prices range between 395,200 to 577,000. And the time adjusted sale prices per square foot range between 221.90 to 278.45 per square foot. As I was saying, this house did sell privately in 2022. At the time of that sale, between the 2022 and 2023 sale, there were structural alterations done, plumbing and electrical permits pulled. These were all work done with permits. As well, the whole home was renovated. So kitchen, flooring, the bathrooms, a lot of the trim work was done. And actually, in my rebuttal evidence coming later, I actually did submit the MLS listing that shows all the photos of what the condition of the home was at the time of purchase in March of 2023. The structural alterations was for removing a load-bearing wall in the kitchen and adding an LVL beam. And the electrical work done was removing knob and tube and adding receptacles. Plumbing work was for the second floor bathroom and a 4-inch stack to the basement, moving the kitchen and laundry on the main floor. The current valuation of $425,000 is actually a reduction from the model value. Prior to issuing the adjustments, it was reviewed, and the previous value, the model value, was $454,000. The reduction was done by a colleague of mine after reviewing the comparables and deciding that $425,000 is a fair value based on the comparables. There is a little bit of discrepancy on the MLS listing for this property as well. They do list the size of the build as 2075 square feet. I reviewed all the information I have available to me. I can't determine how they determined that larger area, but it would be 300 square feet of added value that could make a very significant difference in the valuation. But as it stands, I'm going on the assumption that the area we have listed at the 1777 square feet is accurate or roughly accurate. Were that larger area used from the MLS listing, I believe the assessed value should actually be higher than we have it at $425,000. But like I said, I'm going on the assumption that what we have at 1777 is correct. Based on all this information, I do believe that the current valuation at $425,000 or $239.17 per square foot is supported. Thank you.
I thank you. Mr. Griffin Rail, any questions of the assessor's presentation?
Yes, I do. And just for clarity, should I be directing my questions to the board, to the chair, or directly to the assessor?
Directly to the assessor.
Okay. Thank you for the presentation, Mr. Thiessen. My first question is, 4 comparables were chosen out of 86 homes that were on the city sale book list for 2021. How were these 4 homes chosen?
So I looked for homes that are fairly nearby in location, that have similar characteristics, similar size, similar characteristics like the central air, fireplaces, garages, all that kind of information, as well as upgrades to the home. All of these homes have been upgraded to at least some degree. They're all very similar in the level of upgrades that they have seen. So that is a major factor into why I would choose those versus something that maybe was not upgraded, that would not really be representative of the current condition of the subject.
So where is it that the upgrades to the homes is presented as evidence here for the board?
So that would be reflected in the fact that they all have effective ages applied to them. So rather than being like a 1912 build for your own home, it has an effective age of 1952. So there's a 40-year age variant to reflect the fact that it isn't like a 1912 home so much anymore, since there have been upgrades done to reflect that it is now renovated, upgraded, not a 1912 home.
Does the city make that effective year build information available to the public?
I'm not 100% sure if it is on the website or not.
It is not.
Okay.
You mentioned having rebuttal evidence that you would be submitting at a later date. Can you clarify?
That's coming later in the hearing. It's
So
not a later date. It's today. It'll be later on after you're done your presentation.
And is this written in a document?
Yes, and we'll be presenting it to you in print form.
Okay. You also mentioned the MLS listing information for my property. Is that information that is before the board as evidence?
It will be in my rebuttal evidence.
Okay. And in that information, you mentioned that 300 square feet is a significant difference for an evaluation. Is that correct?
In the case of something that we would be looking at for total area versus what I have for the comparables, where you're looking at some that are much smaller. This not much smaller. I shouldn't say much smaller. 140 square feet at most smaller versus the one that is larger at about 500-ish square feet. Comp 1 and comp 2. So I mean, if there was that 300 square foot difference, it would obviously be closer to comp 1 and 4 in area than it would be to comps 2 and 3, which are smaller.
And in terms of the difference between the assessed lot size, how does that factor in to your assessment?
So a lot size would definitely be one of the things that's also looked at, and these are all fairly similar in size, not exactly the same, but there is just the range of about 700 down to 19 up. It is a difference, but it would be taken into consideration when I did my review.
So just to be clear, comparable 1 has a 1900 square foot difference. Comparable 2 is less than my property's size by 500 square feet. Comparable 3 is less than by 700 square feet. Comparable 4 is greater than by 994 square feet. And those are just the lot sizes.
Those are the lot sizes, yeah.
And earlier you did say that 300 square feet of difference was a significant difference.
In terms of livable area for the actual build itself, it wouldn't be an insignificant difference.
Okay.
Like it would have to be taken into consideration for sure. Is that all the questions?
Yes, sorry, those are my questions.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I thank you. Ms. Rempel, questions of the assessor?
Yes, I'm wondering, Mr. Thiessen, if you can provide us with a little more information about how the effective year built is changed when renovations
I'm sorry, the feed for the boardroom is cutting in and out a little bit, so it's kind of blinking and I didn't catch all of that.
Yes, I see it is. Maybe I'll have to try to speak when it's not blinking. Anyway, I'm just wondering if you could provide us with the information, the way the effective year built determined if renovations occur in a home to upgrade.
Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, the effective age, we would take into consideration what the upgrades were. So like if the kitchen's upgraded, if the bathroom's upgraded, they've done electrical work, if they've done the electrical panel, if they've done plumbing work, the actual fixtures, they've done the flooring, the windows, if they did a significant renovation, basically gutting it to the studs all at once and then rebuilt completely. It all depends on what the work was done at the time that it was done and when it was done, how much they did at the same time, whether it was done at separate times. Can you hear, are you able to hear me when it blinks out to you? Okay. And yeah, like all of that would be taken into consideration. Any kind of renovations that are done, we would take it into consideration and apply some kind of a effective age to reflect the fact that it isn't like the original build anymore. It is like more like an upgraded build.
Thank you. And is that done according to the model for the assessment?
I'm not sure how you mean.
Well, you have a model that is used to assess the value of homes, right?
Yeah.
Is this something that is entered into that model to come up with the effective year built as well?
Not to come up with the fact that like we would change the effective year built and that information would go into the model to generate the model generated value. It would be something that we change that then goes into the model to generate the value, not something that the model generates to come up with a value, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you. That answers my question. Thank you very much.
I thank you. Mr. Hutchins, questions to the assessor?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Excuse me, Mr. Thiessen. Do you have a physical drawing of the property, the structure available?
I do not.
Okay. My question is, it's a 2.5-story rated. From your details on the characteristics on the property, is there attic finish assessed for?
Yes.
There is? Okay.
Yes.
And you mentioned that looking at the MLS, that there was this discrepancy between the listing and the current physical characteristics assessed on the property. Is there 2-story structures on the back of the property that one of them might be heated?
No, I did do a review of all this information. From what I could tell, we are probably accurate at 1777 square feet. I can't figure out where this discrepancy might have come from if it did, unless there was some kind of a change to the actual living area that we never had updated. So basically, yeah, I'm going on the assumption that the 1777 square feet is accurate.
Okay, thank you. Maybe the property owner will be able to detail what's the difference is possibly. My next question is, you mentioned permits taken out for upgrades to the property, and we're looking at the current physical condition in the assessed value. Any values assigned to those permits?
Yes, the electrical, sorry, not the electrical, the structural alteration permit was $6,000. And I don't have the value for the other two. For the electrical and the plumbing, I don't have the values for those.
There were no declared values on the permits, or?
I forgot to write them down. I don't know if they were there in the first place. I don't remember if I saw an actual value attached to them or not.
Okay. And my next question is regarding that revision of the original assessment. An assessor reviewed the original valuation that would have come out in the preview program, I believe, and decided to lower it based on market evidence. Is that correct?
It wasn't part of the preview program. It was when issuing the adjustments for the renovations done prior to
Okay.
purchase.
Okay.
But yes, it was done based on market evidence to reduce this value.
Okay. All right. And regarding that age variant, effective age, pardon me, was there an age variant or an effective age in place before those renovations, or was this age variant applied after applying the looking at the improvements that were done to the property?
I believe it was only done for the renovations prior to purchase.
Okay. All right. That's all my questions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I thank you. Mr. Thiessen, you brought up the fact that there's a post-reference sale for the subject property, which was a private sale.
Yeah.
How was the department made aware of the private sale?
Well, the private sales, they do still come through land titles, but we don't know necessarily much about them unless we speak with the owner or have some other information to go on, maybe an expired MLS listing or something like that.
So the comparables that you chose, all four of them,
yep,
they all sold in 2020.
I'm sorry, they all sold in what?
Right. 2020?
Yes, they did.
Year.
Yes.
So, and our reference date is April 1st, 2021, correct?
Correct.
So you have made time adjustments for these comparables to bring it up to that date.
Correct.
What is the factor? What is the factor for the time adjustment? Like, is it 1% per month or what? Do you know offhand?
I do not know offhand.
Okay, so the model dictates that, does it not?
Yes, that is something that would be determined by the model or by the modelers.
Okay. Yeah. And when you look for comparables, you had stated that you look for, similar structures, location, almost the same square footage, and whether they be 2.5 story, not 2-story, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So these are the best comparables that you found?
Based on the things that I would be looking for, like especially with the upgrades and all that stuff that has been done, these are the best comparables that I had found. Yes.
And did you read through the permits at all? And like you had mentioned one was 6,000, and you can't remember the other ones, but do you remember what work was done?
Yeah, and I mentioned it previously. So the structural alteration permit, that was the $6,000 permit. Removing a load-bearing wall, adding an LVL beam for the kitchen. Electrical permit was knob and tube removed and adding receptacles. The plumbing was redone where there was a second floor bathroom and a 4-inch stack to the basement, and moving the kitchen and laundry on the main floor.
Would the spray and foam need a permit, or that's a different category?
As best as I know, it does not require a permit. However, I don't work in the planning, property, and development department. I don't know exactly what does and does not require permits.
Yeah. All right.
Mr. Chair, would we be able to recess to take a look at the AV? We've got some technical issues happening with the Zoom feed.
Yes, my screen keeps flickering and we're losing some of it. So yes, Nicole, can we adjourn until you can finish that up?
Yeah, I think 10
Maximilian,
minutes
is that
would be
okay with
sufficient.
you? All right. So let's let's reconvene at 10. I mean, in 10 minutes, okay?
In 10 minutes.
if
Okay,
that's
perfect.
warranted.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll call the hearing back to order. Mr. Griffin Rill, your presentation now.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before I start my presentation, I'd just like to note 2 errors that I made in my application materials that I just wanted to correct before proceeding. So in my table, I listed, which is available in the appendices, getting at Appendix 2, the address at 520 Dominion, which was listed as one of the comparables by Mr. Thiessen. I listed it as being south of Westminster, but that was an error. It is actually in the block south of Portage, which, as if you've reviewed the materials, you'll know that has an impact on the score that each property received from the system that I came up with. And then the second correction that I wanted to make is on page 5. I've listed the insulation work that's required to the home as being quoted at approximately $40,000, but that should read $30,000. And if I've made any other small errors, please accept my apologies. They were not made maliciously. I tried to come up with a system that accurately accounted for difference and sameness between the properties without the benefit of some kind of model that the city might have access to. In trying to determine an appropriate assessed value for my home after receiving the reassessment, I took the advice of the letter from the board that was sent to me and examined the 2.5-story homes that were sold in the Wolseley market region in the 2021 sales book. There were 86 2.5-story homes sold in that market region in the 2021 sales book, and each of those properties is listed in the table available in my materials in Appendix 2. Subsequently, after pulling each of those properties, I went into the publicly available information for each property and attributed it within the table. At that point, I needed to figure out how to compare apples to apples. And when you're faced with trying to determine whether a house built in 1912, which is the year my house was built, is more or less comparable if it has a detached garage or if it has air conditioning. It's not necessarily an easy task, but I tried to get over that hurdle by coming up with a system of attributing point values to each of the comparables. So if you turn to Appendix 2, the property at 52 Alloway, high points were attributed to features that were most comparable with the property at 270 Aubrey. So for 52 Alloway, for example, because the basement is finished, it received a 1 on 3 score because it is not comparable to the unfinished basement at 270 Aubrey. Whereas it received 3 points for having no fireplace and no air conditioner, because those are the values that the features that 270 Aubrey has. After coming up with points for each feature, I arrived at an overall score for the property, and that is how I narrowed down my list of comparable properties to arrive at what I feel are the most comparable properties of this 86 property long list. If you turn to Appendix 5, we have Appendix 6 has the 10 most comparable properties per this system. And in fact, none of these properties are the 4 properties that were assessed against by the assessor do not figure into this list of the 10 most comparable properties per my system. And just averaging the assessed value of each of these 10 most comparable homes per my system, the difference is $45,080, a lower value for the average. Now, also per my system, there is one property in the Moseley Market region, which was at 499 Greenwood, which scored full points. And if you look at that property, the time adjusted sales price was $319,000. So a full $106,000 lower than what is being proposed as by the assessor as the proper assessed value. Now, I understand that the system that I've come up here is ad hoc and not one that would be used by the city of Winnipeg to determine its understanding of assessed value. But I think that it does demonstrate that the 4 properties that were chosen by the assessor, that there are properties that are more comparable to mine. And when you look at those more comparable properties, that the value ought to be considerably lower when it's averaged out, and when you take just individual properties that score higher points on this system. I will admit that my system does not account for effective year built, which unfortunately is not information that's publicly available. So coming into this process, it's not something that I could have accounted for. Also, information that is not publicly accessible has to do with any structural changes that are made to the properties. But on the basis of publicly available information, none of the homes that were compared by the assessor even make it into the top 10 of the homes that I found to be most comparable.
You may continue.
The only other point that I'll add is that I have had home inspections undertaken. They indicate that significant work is required to render the home energy efficient and up to current standards. I'm not sure how that might impact on the effective year built, whether insulation values would be taken into account when establishing that value, and if the city had that information at its disposal when it came to the effective year built of my property. But the work that was quoted by this city in my assessment letter as being justification for the value increase, which was interior alterations, were quoted as the reason for the increased assessment. The 3 permits that were pulled, one for a load-bearing wall to be removed, one for plumbing to be changed and moved around, and one for electrical work to be undertaken. The only one that actually changes the function of the home is the electrical work. The changing of knob and tube is something that, of course, needs to be done to avoid fire and to bring electrical up to code. But removing a load-bearing wall doesn't intrinsically add value to the home, and moving plumbing around also doesn't intrinsically add value to a home either. And at this point, the only the only value that's been provided to the board in terms of a cost for a permit is the load-bearing wall removal, which was apparently quoted at $6,000. I'm not entirely sure how that factors into this, but in my understanding, we have an assessment increase that's being justified on the basis of interior alterations, 2 of which don't really change the inherent value of the home, and the other one that we don't have a quoted value for. And the assessed value is going up by more than $100,000. I just don't see how this is reasonable. I don't have any other submissions to make, but I'd welcome your questions.
All right. Just offhand, I know you have done an extremely good job in all the facts and figures. What value are you seeking for your property then, with the reference date in mind?
Well, this is another question that I do have is it the practice to look at a comparable and attribute the value of that comparable, or is it the practice to create an average of the comparables? Because when I look at the 4 comparables listed here and the $425,000 figure, I can't figure it out. It is not an average of the 4 comparables. It is not an average of the 4 comparables value per square foot. It just seems to be a number that the assessor thought might be fair. So if the practice is to average the most comparable homes, then I would propose that the 10 most comparable homes that I have listed would be the appropriate ones to compare it to. And on that basis, a time adjusted sales price of $379,920 would be appropriate. But if we're looking at the most comparable home and we're adjusting it to that, then I would argue that 499 Greenwood is the appropriate comparator. And in that case, my taxes, my home's value should actually be reduced to align with the value of 499 Greenwood for the time adjusted sales price. And that
I think,
pardon me, Mr. Chairman.
okay, the whole exercise here today is to determine the market value that for your property. And the city of Winnipeg has done their evaluation and have concluded that it should be around the 425,000. Now, you either agree with that or you disagree it. And you have done a lot of homework here, but you should state what you think the value should be. And I think, you know, you've raised several things here that I should really turn it over to the assessor to answer this. But basically, you're after market value for your property. What do you think the value should be as at the reference date, given its current physical condition? That's the whole objective. So you're here to argue that either it's fair, and obviously you don't think it's fair. So you have to draw your conclusions from the material that you have. You had mentioned also, let me just finish here. You had also mentioned that you had looked at 82 properties in your area. Is that 86. Correct? Okay, 86. Now, are all of them comparable to your, your property? Are they all 2.5 stories? If not, throw the ones that you're looking at in your number and compare apples to apples, as you had stated.
They are all 2.5 stories.
I'm sorry?
They are all 2.5 stories.
And are they all sold or listed?
They were all sold.
All sold? Okay.
Yeah.
So in those properties, you had mentioned that the city's comparables, the 4 of them, never made your list.
The 4 of them made the first. The 4 of them did make the first list. They made the list of 86 properties. They also, I believe, what they did not make is the list of 10 most comparable properties when all of the features were accounted for.
Okay. So the 4 properties that the city have, you have 10 different ones.
Yes.
So what conclusion did you draw for those 10 properties for your property?
The conclusion that I drew for those 10 properties was that averaging their time adjusted sales price, which I feel is a fair way of arriving at a market value for the 2021 reference date, should lead to a final value of $379,920 for an assessment. And I feel that averaging them is a fair way of doing so because it accounts for all of the intangible differences between each property. that are not listed on the publicly available information that the city puts out.
All right, so you've concluded that your property should be around the 380 mark, correct?
That if averaging is the process that is normally taken by the city, then yes. If the city normally looks
Well,
at,
look,
the problem that I'm having, Mr. Chairman, is that information about the processes that are actually used by the city to determine these values is not available to the public. And information about the information that is available to the assessor is not available to the public. And the process used by the assessor to settle on a number is not clear. So if it's more aligned with the assessor's practice to find one property that is most comparable, then we have to look to 499 Greenwood. But if averaging is the most close to the city's processes, then I'd say the value I reached in Appendix 6 is the appropriate assessment value. I know this is a little bit convoluted.
okay. All right, I just have one further question for you. When you bought this property, okay, did you have it appraised at all?
I did not.
And you did not. So how did you base your purchase price?
Well,
Don't tell me the figure. Don't tell me the figure.
I'm not going to tell you the figure.
How did you conclude value? How did you conclude value?
At the time that I purchased, the market was such that we essentially went on our gut. We felt that it was a good fit. I grew up in Wolseley. My mother owns a home in Wolseley. My father is a house inspector. He went through, he said, you know what, I think it's a good house. I think it's worth what they're selling it for. And so we bought it.
Did you get financing for the house or have a home inspection done?
We did not have a home inspection done officially, and we did get financing for the house, and the mortgage lender did not require a home inspection.
Okay, but they probably had somebody, do a drive-by and say the property is secure for that price that you paid.
It's possible, though they did not inform us that they were doing so.
As an astute lender, you would probably do that, but anyways, we can go back and forth, but I think Mr. Thiessen, do you have any questions of the applicant?
I do have several, thank you. So my first question is just related to you had mentioned that you could not account for the effective year built or any of that kind of thing. So would it be correct in saying that you are not aware of the condition of any upgrades done or anything of that kind of, or the overall condition of any of the comparables that you have in your list?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. And you stated that you need significant work done to the heating efficiency of your home. Given that Wolseley is a very well-established neighborhood, it's been around for over 100 years. Do you feel that it is at least partially likely that other homes in the neighborhood have similar issues related to insulation, given that it is a very well-established neighborhood, been around a long time. Unless they've done these upgrades over time, they would likely be suffering from similar issues.
I would say if we're talking about likelihoods, that my house's upgrades are just as likely to have been carried out in other homes as other homes are just as likely to suffer from insulation issues.
Okay. And then you did note from the quotes from Warm Home Insulation, you said it was $30,000, but two of the quotes appear to be for identical work in the basement. So I'm just going to look at the appendix here for the exact ones.
Oh, that is a error. There should have been an attic.
Okay, so there's something different that wasn't included here.
That probably accounts for the difference in the $40,000. I could pull it up and provide it, but yes, there was a quote provided for attic work.
Okay, because what I had with the addition of those three things, which one of them was a duplicate, so I just did the two, and it was only $22,800. But if there was that third one for the attic that just was not included, was done in error, that's totally fine. And in your notes, you had noted that there was some seepage in the northwest and southwest corners of the basement.
Yes.
But you have not had any estimates or quotes done for that to see if, so you don't know at all if it's structural issues or if it is just minor issues related to minor seepage due to, the crazy thaws that we've had over the last couple of years, or any of that kind of stuff. You're not entirely sure?
I'm not. I have not had an opportunity to have a foundation expert or a mason come in to the property to take a look at that issue.
Okay. Now, just related to the upgrades done to your property, you mentioned several times that you just had those three things done, and there was only the $6,000, and it just doesn't really add up that there would be a large increase. Would you agree that there has been other work done in the home beyond just the scope of what those three permits was for?
I would agree, and I would add that those other works that have been carried out would fall outside of the scope of what would be considered at a hearing like this, given that things like shingles and paint are not included, because essentially what has been done in the home is aesthetic.
So your kitchen was upgraded though, correct? And bathrooms?
I mean, it was sold in I've seen it only in this condition.
Okay. But it looks like it's newer kitchen and bathrooms.
We do have a newer kitchen, yes.
Okay. Now, related to your work in the appendixes, the 2 through 7, where you had the 80 down to the 3, are you aware of whether all of the characteristics listed for the comparables were actually present at the time of the sales? Or is it just you went solely off of the public website? So like anything that is on the public website would be current stuff versus what may or may not have been there at the time of the sale.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I asked this mostly because after I did a review of 499 Greenwood, which you noted as what you believe to be the best comparable, I found some discrepancies from what there was actually on the website, where they do not have a detached single car garage. They have a carport, detached carport, and they only have one bathroom in the house, not two. So that would probably affect what you're looking at with your work in that the appendices too, correct?
That $499.
Lost the boardroom.
Yes. Can everybody hear us? Okay, there we go.
Can you
Okay.
hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, so I understand, is the issue that the information on the city's website is out of date?
Based on what was present at the time of the sale, which is what we would be looking at in terms of determining the valuation, because we're looking at market value and using sales that occurred prior to the reference date. So this was one of those sales that 499 Greenwood was one of those sales that did occur prior to that reference date. But what you were looking at would be a spotlight of what we have on the record for current time. I did a review of that sale, and what was on the public website for the current time was actually not what was present at the time of the sale. At the time of the sale, there was the carport and only one bathroom from what I could see on the MLS listing.
Okay, so in terms of bathrooms, that information isn't available on the City of Winnipeg's website, so that the change in the number of bathrooms would not have impacted my overall scoring. The carport would have, so it would have reduced the overall score for 499 Greenwood to 23 points rather than 24. So while it would not score perfectly, it would still figure within the top 10 homes that are most comparable, and it would still figure within the top 3 homes that are most comparable.
Okay. I figured I would ask you that question just to get an idea of where you would be at with your calculations on those things. Now, have you made any changes at all to the property since your purchase?
I have not.
Okay. I think that is about all the questions I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thiessen. Ms. Rumpel, questions?
Yes, I'm just wondering about the repairs required to the home. And you indicated that you had information for the attic as well, but that it would cost approximately $40,000 all told.
Yes, I could pull up the quote right now if it's of benefit.
No, what
Okay.
what my question is though, is how many, or what would the value be of grants that you might receive to offset that cost?
The grants available are, if I'm not mistaken, $5,500 maximum. But that would require me to include things like putting in a heat pump. It would require me to go above and beyond the actual insulation work. And I haven't received information from the home inspector yet as to what I would actually be eligible for in grants if I just did the insulation work. I also do know that, so that would be for the federal government grant. And then I do know that Manitoba Hydro also has, or Efficiency Manitoba rather, has its grants that subsidize some material costs.
Right.
And unfortunately, I don't have, I haven't reached out to them yet to determine how much that might reduce the actual cost of the work. So there are grants available that would reduce the value of that work to me somewhat.
May I ask, when you purchased the home,
Mhm.
were you aware of any of these structural issues in the basement with the water coming in?
No, the basement was dry, and because the home had been rented out prior to our buying it, the owner had no obligation to disclose any structural issues that they may not have been aware of. So no, we did not know that there was water seepage coming in.
And you don't have any quotes or information about how much it might?
I wish I did. I wish I did. No, I don't.
I'm assuming that the laundry area was already on the main floor when you moved into the house?
I believe so. But I'm not sure I don't have the original plans in that regard, but the permit was for moving the laundry on the main floor.
Oh, okay.
My understanding is that the room that the laundry currently is in was a bedroom prior, and so I can guess where the laundry machines would have gone before that, but I'm not certain.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all my questions.
Thank you.
I thank you, Mr. Hutchins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the appellant, excuse me. Page 9 of your brief. These are photos of the exterior of the property. When were these taken?
These were taken on the day that my evidence was submitted.
Okay. Excuse me. So they reflect the current physical condition of the property.
Yes.
And is that the condition of the property when it was purchased by yourself?
Yeah. With maybe, yeah, I mean, there's nothing different apart from a small tree that has been removed from the front yard.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And regarding the discrepancy the assessor stated in the square footage, what is your understanding of the square footage when you purchased that home?
I cannot account for the discrepancy in the square footage either. When I looked at the home and I was trying to assess it, when I looked at the home, when I was considering buying it, I looked at the city's website as the authoritative square footage, and I didn't even know that there was a discrepancy.
I believe the assessor is going to present evidence regarding this, but what did the MLS say? Do you remember?
I don't.
Okay. Is there attic finish upstairs on the third? We'll call it the third floor, the half story on the third.
Yes, it's finished.
It is finished. There's a stairway going up there, and there's drywall, knee wall, and everything like that. Okay.
Well, there's no knee wall. It's all sealed in. You can't access the sides, but it is all drywalled. Yes.
Okay. On the rear of the property, are there any add-ons at all, like a rear sunroom, lean-to on the second floor, that kind of thing?
There is a small sunroom on the second floor.
Okay, and the main floor supporting that, is that an extension to the kitchen, or is that heated area?
It's a heated area, yes. Those are both heated areas.
Okay, and they're both, excuse me, I guess on a grade beam or post and beam structure on supporting them. Is that open to the main floor on the rear area? Is that open to the main floor kitchen, for instance?
It is. It's all open, and that's the laundry room.
Oh, okay. And that possibly, so my understanding from the assessor stating about the putting in support beams and that kind of thing, is it an open concept main floor now?
An open concept main floor.
Okay, so it's completely changed from the original, I'll call it boxy structure of this style of home.
Sure.
Okay. Floor finish hardwoods,
Floor finish is hardwood.
upstairs and down?
No, upstairs is all carpet from the beginning at the bottom of the stairs all the way to the top is carpet.
Okay. And it is forced air heat?
No, it is boiler.
It's a hot water system?
Yes.
Okay. And is that an older boiler, newer? Was that replaced in the renovations?
No, it's an older boiler, I believe.
Okay.
I believe it's I wouldn't want to.
Okay, no, fair enough. Okay, so just to understand what happened here, you purchased the property. Apparently, there was a private sale prior to your purchasing, where somebody, it sounds like somebody did a complete or I'll call it a renovation of the property. And at the time of sale, that's when your time of sale, you purchased it renovated. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, so the previous assessment didn't reflect renovations or alterations of the home. You received a reassessment notice revising the assessment significantly. Is that right? Reflecting the renovations on the property?
That's my understanding.
Okay. So you got this reassessment notice, and that's why you're appearing here today, arguing that the value hasn't increased, reflecting those renovations.
That's correct.
Okay. I guess my last question is I'm a bit confused about the point system. I've never heard that. I've never seen this presented before. But that's your analysis, and I'm not sure where that came from, but we'll just leave that where it is. So the chair asked you, what do you think the assessment should be at on the property? What do you think the house in its current condition would sell for as of the reference date?
I think the house would sell for $379,920 in its current condition as of the reference date.
Now, where do you get that value from?
An average of the 10 most comparable homes in the Wolseley market region.
Okay.
Their time adjusted sales price.
Okay. My last question would be, so I think you admitted that you didn't know whether any of those comparables had been renovated to the standard that your property is. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Okay. So you feel that those would be fair comparisons compared to your renovated property?
I do feel that they would be fair comparisons. These homes have very similar features. The square footage of the lot is under 300 square foot difference.
With all due respect, sir, I understand the characteristics are similar, but my question is the condition of the properties within Wolseley would affect the market value. Would you not agree?
I would agree.
Okay, so you're asking the board to revise your assessed value to 79,000?
That's correct.
So 200. So
the difference.
Greenwood sold for $214 a square foot. That $499 Greenwood. And you're asking the board to revise your assessment to
$380.
$214 a square foot. Is that accurate?
I haven't calculated the square footage value.
Yeah, it's about 213 plus change if or your requested value. Okay, that's all my questions, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Griffin Rail, how much have you put into this house since you purchased it?
Just sweat equity. No, I haven't made any alterations to the home. I've done some work on the decking in the back and had some evaluations and are currently saving to put work into the home. So essentially nothing.
Sweat equity?
Yes.
When was the spray insulation put, I would say, in the basement or wherever you put it?
It
Wherever you put it.
It hasn't been done yet.
Oh, it hasn't been done.
No, it needs to be done. It has not yet been done.
Okay. You say you're familiar with the area because some relations live in the area and that, so you've been through the area. Of the comparables that the city's using, the four comparables, did you drive past any of these houses or go inside when they were available for sale at all?
Just as a clarification, I'm familiar with the area because I grew up there.
Yeah.
I did not go into any of these homes when they were for sale. I wasn't yet in the market to buy a home in 2021. That was only when we bought our home were we ready to really look at homes. It was the second home that we looked at. But I do drive by these homes on a daily basis. I walk my dog past 520 Dominion almost every day. I don't go on to Greenwood as much, but I do go there when I go down to Omens Creek occasionally.
We lost our feed again. There we go.
Can you hear me okay,
Yeah.
Ron?
No problem. It just blanks out. We're fine.
Okay, because we're not seeing it flicker from our end, but it does look a little dark.
Okay.
Just keep me apprised if it happens again.
Yeah. So you're not familiar at all with the, Dominion Street or Evanston or Lenore or Greenwood? You're not familiar with those houses itself that the city's using? No?
I haven't been inside, but I have seen each of them from the outside.
Okay. All right. I think that concludes my remarks. Mr. Thiessen, you have rebuttal evidence that you
I do, yes.
bring up?
Yes. So
all right.
What I've included in this evidence, I will let the clerk pass out the evidence if you haven't got it already.
Got it printed here. I put it in your SharePoint. And there you go. Thank you. No problem.
So does everyone have it now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I have not got it open yet. If you can bear with me, please.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Nicole, could I ask where that would have been placed?
Sorry?
Could I ask where that information rebuttal?
It would be in your SharePoint, and it'll be listed. Let me just tell you the file name here.
Okay.
It should be in that same folder if you just refresh your SharePoint.
Yes, but where is it?
A&T rebuttal.
Yeah, A&T rebuttal.
Okay. Just bear with me, please.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Let us know, Bob. let us know when you're there, Robert.
Is it at the end or the beginning? Has it been plunked in with the appellant's information? That's what I'm trying to determine where.
Yeah, for me, it's under the agenda. Is it showing in this? Oh, you wouldn't have it in the as the third item, and it'll say file number 23-398 A&T rebuttal 270 Aubrey Street.
All under item 5. I've got the agenda here, so
Item 5, okay.
it's the second item under item 5.
Okay. Okay, I've got it. Thank you.
Okay. So what I've included is the MLS listings, as well as just the breakdown of the comparables and the comparable map. So the MLS listings for the subject, as well as the 3 best comparables that the applicant presented as their top 3. I didn't have time to go review through all of the top 10. I took the 3 and used that since that was their 3 best ones. What this is really just illustrating is the overall condition of the subject versus the 3 best comparables as presented by the applicant. So comparable 1 does appear somewhat slightly upgraded, fairly similar to the subject. Comp 2 has the inferior upgrades done, and they're largely only done to the main floor. You can see some parquet flooring on the second floor presented in the bedrooms. And then Comp 3 has inferior upgrades to the subject. So the subject, as you can see in the photos, has been upgraded throughout. Kitchen's redone. It opens up to the open concept, which was previously mentioned. And it largely would not be best to compare to homes that have not seen the same level of upgrading, as that would add significant value in the open market for sure. That is pretty much what I wanted to present with that information, as I did notice that the overall condition was not really touched upon in the applicant's evidence. So I just wanted to make sure that that was presented as it is.
I thank you, sir. Mr. Griffin-Rill, any regards to the rebuttal information? Any questions?
When I look at these photos, they look like my house. Each of the rooms looks very similar. I mean, there's a question. I suppose the cabinets in the kitchen are, the cabinetry in the kitchen is IKEA and slightly newer than the cabinetry in these other kitchens. But not considerably. From my perspective, the photos of the interiors of these homes reinforces how the top 3 homes that I have identified are comparable to my home. So I understand that the system that I've chosen to arrive at those comparables is somewhat unorthodox, and may not be seen very often by this board. If there are questions about that system, so that I could clarify it to improve anyone's confidence in the work that I've done, then I would be happy to take those. But otherwise, I don't have any more questions for Mr. Thiessen or anyone.
I thank you. Mr. Thiessen, summation if you wish.
I don't really have too much to say, just regarding the overall condition. I did choose 4 comparables that have seen very similar upgrades to the subject. As I've illustrated with my rebuttal evidence, the level of upgrades isn't quite to the same level with the top 3 comparables that the applicant had presented. Comp 1 is a little bit similar. It's probably the most similar of the 3. However, the other 2 not quite to the same level. And otherwise, I do believe that my 4 comparables are a better indication of the market value than at least the top 3 that he presented. However, I can't really say too much more regarding the 10 or the 86 total, as I did not have time to review those. Thank you.
I thank you. Mr. Griffin, Real, any question? I mean, summation?
Well, I would
Final
just submit that, you know, it's not my job to look at the comparables and assess their value. And I managed to find the time to do so. And it does take quite a bit of time to compile all of this information. I understand that it's not the board's responsibility to make these processes and the information that the city holds more accessible to the public. But as an aside, I do think that these processes could be significantly improved as an access to justice measure for Winnipeg citizens.
I thank you very kindly for your excellent presentation, sir, and I thank you for attendance and results very shortly.
Thank you.
So I thank you. You're free to go and have a good day. I thank you.
Thank you.
Nicole and panel members, we're going to take a recess and then we're going to deliberate the balance of the docket for the no-shows. So we're going to take probably 10 minutes and reconvene at 10:48.
10:48. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
10:48. Thank you. All right. I thank you, Ms. Carnegie. Thank you. We'll call the hearing back to order. And Mr. Thiessen, what we're going to do is go through the ones that are the no-shows. So we'll start with number 859 Fleet Avenue. You can read us the roll number, etc., and describe the property just briefly, and then we'll deal with it.
Okay. Do you need me to read the comparables in, or can you just see them on the sheets?
No. You can just state the value and the roll number, etc. And
okay, yeah. Sounds good. Thank you very much. Okay, so the subject is 859 Fleet Avenue, roll number 12023160000, located in the Earl Grey neighborhood. It's a 2-story build, single-family dwelling built in 1914, living area of 1366 square feet, full basement that is finished, has 1 full bathroom, 1 half bathroom, 1 shower, has central air conditioning, has a fireplace, no garages. Lot size is 2786 square feet and has a light traffic influence. The assessment is 304,000 or 222.55 square 222.55 per square foot, and I believe that value is supported.
All right, I thank you, Mr. Thiessen. Any contact at all from the applicant?
I did actually speak with the owner on August 23rd. We previously did an inspection in 2013. There were minor issues with the property, just like flooring was a little bit scratched up. And he did mention on the phone that there was some maintenance work required. The roof likely needs to be done in 1 to 1.5 years. The front eave likely would need to be replaced along with that. And then, like I said, the hardwood flooring requires refinishing. But in 2003 or 2004, there were upgrades done to the windows, kitchen, plumbing, main bathroom, furnace, air conditioning, basement, and at that time, the hardwoods were refinished, but they are now showing signs of wear.
All right. Did they talk at all about, like, they file an appeal and then they don't show up and like?
No,
Yeah.
I expected them to be here, so no, I don't know.
Okay. Mr. Randall, any questions in regards to the no-show? Mr. Randall?
No, I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Hutchins?
Yes, thanks, Ron. Just out of curiosity, Mr. Thiessen, do you show the appellant these comparables when you spoke with him on August 23rd?
No.
No, okay. Okay. That's my only question. Just curious. No other questions. Thank you.
Just offhand, I can't remember, Mr. Thiessen, when they appear or come in person, or are they given a sheet of paper, like in person, when they come here to look at the comparables? I can't remember.
they would be given
so.
the same thing that you guys get. Where you get all the evidence, they get the same thing.
Yeah. And okay, so would they do Zoom too or not?
They could,
that
yeah.
Material.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It would be electronic, or they would get the hard copy if they needed a hard copy.
But if they come, I guess, Drew, if they come in person, they just get it that day, do they not? Yeah, it's not done ahead of time.
As best I know, I'm not 100% sure.
Just to clarify,
yeah.
Mr. Chair, they only receive the assessor's evidence if they submit evidence or if they request the evidence within 24-hour window prior to the hearing.
Okay, very good. Okay, we'll go to the next one, which is 549 Arlington Street. Mr. Thiessen, whenever you're ready, you can just briefly take us through that.
Sure thing. So the subject is 549 Arlington Street, roll number 130-311-13500. Currently, it is a single family dwelling, but really it is not. I spoke with the owner a couple times. The property is going to be demolished, like the building is going to be demolished, at which point there is going to be a replot done and 2 new buildings are going to be built. So what we're currently looking at for the 2024 assessment isn't even going to exist likely by the time January 1st, 2024 comes around. So I'm not overly concerned about the valuation, just because after the replot, this property as it stands doesn't exist.
All right.
So the current valuation we have is 155,000, and I did it based on vacant land because the building is completely boarded up. There's no utilities going in, and the lots, the assessment per square foot is $30.74 per square foot for the lot.
So they can get 2 lots out of it?
Yeah.
What's the frontage?
The frontage, I have it down here somewhere, 50 square foot or 50 feet, sorry.
Yeah, so 225, say?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Ms. Rempel, questions?
I have no questions. Thank you.
I thank you. Mr. Hutchins?
I'm just wondering on the location of this property, but I see it on the map. No questions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. 559 Victor Street. Mr. Thiessen, whenever you're ready.
Absolutely. So subject is 559 Victor Street, roll number 130-406-59000. Located in the Daniel McIntyre neighborhood, two-story build, single-family dwelling built in 1907, 1,200 square feet of living area, full basement that is finished, has a full bathroom, a half bathroom with a shower, and does have central air conditioning and a detached single-car garage. Assessed lot size is 2,350 square feet. There was the most recent sale of the property was done in 2017 for 157,000. The current valuation is 193,000 or 160.83 per square foot. As with the previous property, I did actually speak with the owner on August 23rd. I requested an inspection, but due to conflicting scheduling, we were not able to make it work. So I requested that they send emailed photos, just showing what the overall condition of the home was, as they did mention that there were some deficiencies. However, they did not send me any information, never got in contact with me after that day. And actually, in the past, in 2019, they did attend the residential review program and told one of our assessors that there had been work done to the property. New electrical panel, new windows and doors, new kitchen cabinets and flooring, drywall in the kitchen, dining room, and 2 bedrooms. And they were in the process at the time of updating the main bathroom, while the other bathroom was renovated prior to the purchase. So at that time, they said the total cost of materials alone was $20,000. They did not specific, or in the notes anyways, it does not specifically say whether they were doing the work themselves, but I suspect that they were. And that is all the information I have on that property. And I believe that the value is supported at the 193 or 160.83 per square foot.
All right, thank you. Rempel, questions?
I just have one question, and that is in terms of the work you indicated had been done on the property. Were any building permits taken out?
I do not recall seeing any building permits. I would have probably put them into my notes here, so I do not believe that there were any.
Okay, thank you very much.
I thank you. Mr. Hutchins?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. We'll go on to 29 Aubrey Street.
Okay. So the subject is
Yep.
29 Aubrey Street, roll number 120-815-09-000, located in the Wolseley neighborhood. It's a 1 3/4 story build. It's a single family dwelling built in 1944. Living area of 1,056 square feet, has a full basement that is finished, has 1 full bathroom, has central air conditioning, no garages, lot size of 3,008 square feet, has a park basically next door to it. And the assessment is 340,000 or 321.97 per square foot. The property was sold on June 15th of this year. The owner, I did speak with them as well on the 21st of August. They purchased the property from their parents' company. They had an appraisal report done with an effective date of March 13th of 2023. So it's a post-reference date, and all of the sales used in the report are post-reference as well, occurring either in 2022 or 2023. And only 2 out of the 6 are 1 3/4 story builds. One of them was a 2-story, 2 of them were 1.5 story, and 1 was 2.5 story. There were upgrades done to the property over the last 10 years. Shingles roughly 5 years ago. Complete rewire done in 2016 with knob and tube removed. Insulation on 1 wall. The kitchen upgrade, counters in the cabinets in 2016, so in 2017, and hardwoods were refinished roughly 10 years ago. So I believe that the value is supported as it currently stands at 340, 321.97.
All right. So did they contact you or anything like that?
Yeah, like I said, I spoke with them on August 21st.
Okay. And offhand, out of curiosity, what did it sell for? I know it's post-reference.
No, I'm not going to get into it. It's post reference.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, I just thought I'd ask.
That's fair.
Ms. Rempel, questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
I thank you. Mr. Hutchins?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, let's do the last one, which is 70 Middlegate. The floor is yours, Mr. Thies.
Okay. The subject property is 70 Middlegate, roll number 120-917-70000. Located in the Armstrong Point neighborhood. It's a one-story build, single-family dwelling built in 1953, 2,002 square foot living area. Full basement that is finished, has one full bathroom, 2 half bathrooms, 2 showers, no central air conditioning, does have a fireplace, has a multi-car attached garage, and does have a sunroom. 9,074 square foot lot size, and the assessed value is 804,000 or 401.60 per square foot. There was actually a subject sale in September of 2020, so it is in reference. And it was sold for 811,000. Time adjusted, that would be 843,400 or 421.28 per square foot. So given this, I believe that the value is well supported.
I thank you. And they never contacted you or anything like that?
I have had no contact with the owner at all.
All right, I thank you. Ms. Thiessen, any questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
I thank you. Mr. Hutchins?
No questions, thank you.
All right, I think, Mr. Thiessen, I thank you for your excellent job, and you are free to go.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
So have a good day. Have a good day. Pleasure doing business with you.
All right. Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Okay. Now, let's
Mr. Chair, are we going to conclude the meeting at this point? Sorry, Mr. Chair, are we concluding the
Yes. Let's have a look here. Okay. We have heard all the items scheduled, and the hearing is now adjourned. Thank you very kindly.